I'm Rachel May Barbon from BSED Math 1A, and I will be presenting the biography of a prominent Filipinos in the Philippines. The objective is to identify who are the prominent Filipinos and what are their significant contributions that makes them prominent or heroes of the country. So let's start with Dr. Jose P. Rizal. His full name, Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Riolonda. Jose Rizal is commonly known as the father of Filipino nationalism. Born on June 19, 1861 at Calamba, and died on December 30, 1896 at Rizal Park, Manila. He was a Filipino nationalist, writer, polymath, and the most prominent advocate for the reforms in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial era. He studied at Heidelberg University, Ateneo Manila University, and University of Santo Tomas. He is considered the Philippine national hero or Pabansang Bayani, and the anniversary of Rizal's death is commemorated as Philippine holiday called Rizal Day. He was prolific poet, essayist, and novelist, whose most famous works were his two novels, No Limit Tangheri and its sequel, El Filibusterismo. He was multifaceted intellectual and political activist, best known for his political writing that inspired the Philippine Revolution and ultimately led to his execution by the Spanish colonizers. Then, let's proceed to Apolinario Mabini. His full name is Apolinario Mabini E. Maranan. Apolinario Mabini is regarded as the utak ng himagsikan or brain of the revolution. Born on July 23, 1864 at Tanawa, and died on May 13, 1903 at Manila. He was a Filipino revolutionary leader, educator, lawyer, and statesman who served first as a legal and constitutional advisor to the revolutionary government. He studied at Colegio de San Juan de Letran and University of Santo Tomas. He was the first Prime Minister of the Philippines upon the establishment of the First Philippine Republic. He was a Filipino political philosopher and architect of the Philippine Revolution. He formulated the principle of a democratic popular government, endowing the historical struggles of the Filipino people with a coherent ideological orientation. He may not have been able to fight on battlefield, but he used his wisdom and pen and paper to motivate the people to fight for independence. Next is Andres Bonifacio. His full name, Andres Bonifacio E. de Castro. Andres Bonifacio is often called the father of the Philippine Revolution. Born on November 30, 1863 at Tondo, and died on May 10, 1897 at Maragondon. He was a Filipino Freemason and revolutionary leader and the president of the Tagalog Republic and a short-lived government in the Philippines. He was the founder of the group called Katipunan. Katipunan or kataas-taasan, kagalang-galangang katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan or kikiki. After he spearheaded the establishment of the secret revolutionary movement Katipunan to fight Spanish colonization in 1892. The Bonifacio-led Katipuneros inspired many Filipinos and groups to launch a nationwide campaign to overthrow the colonizers. Then next, Emilio Aguinaldo. His full name, Emilio Aguinaldo E. Fame. Born on March 22, 1869 at Kawit, and died on February 6, 1964 at Quezon City. Emilio Aguinaldo is a former president of the Philippines known as the President of the Revolutionary Government. He was a Filipino revolutionary statesman and military leader who is officially recognized as the first and the youngest president of the Philippines and the first president of a constitutional republic in Asia. He also led a revolutionary movement against the Spanish colonial government in the Philippines. He cooperated with the U.S. during the Spanish-American War, but subsequently broke with the U.S. and led a guerrilla campaign against U.S. authorities during the Philippine-American War. Emilio Aguinaldo signed the Pact of Biak-na-Bato, creating a truce between the Spanish and Philippine revolutionaries. Then Marcelo H. del Pilar. His full name Marcelo Hilario del Pilar y Gatmaitan, born on August 30, 1850 at Bulacan, and died on July 4, 1896 at Old Hospital de la San Creo, Barcelona, Spain. Marcelo H. del Pilar, also known by his Spain name Plaridel. He was a Filipino writer, lawyer, journalist, Freemason, and a Philippine revolutionary propagandist and satirist. Del Pilar, along with Jose Rizal and Graciano Lopez Reina, became known as the leaders of the reform movement in Spain. Marcelo H. del Pilar was a Filipino reformist who greatly contributed to the political efforts made to advocate the rights of the Filipinos. He was one of the active anti-friar personalities in the Philippines before the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution in 1896. After the deportation of his brother and the death of his mother in 1872, he worked to destroy the friar authority and influence on the country's affairs. Then next, Melchora Aquino. Her full name, Melchora Aquino de Ramos. Born on January 6, 1812 at Caloocan and died on February 19, 1919 at Caloocan. Melchora Aquino was a Filipina revolutionary who became known as Tandang Sora because of her age during the Philippine Revolution. Melchora Aquino was known as Grand Woman of the Revolution and the Mother of Balintawak for her contribution. She helped the Katipuneros under the leadership of Andres Bonifacio by providing them food, shelter, and other material goods. She not only provided them medical care, but she also provided them encouragement through prayer. She also became involved with a secret revolutionary society known as the Katipunan, which is the shortened version of their entire name, Kataas-Taasan Kagalang-galangang Katipunan ng mga Anak ng Bayan or KKK. Then next, Gabriela Silang. Her full name, Maria Josefa Gabriela Carino D. Silang. Born on March 19, 1731 at Santa and died on September 20, 1763 at Vigan City. She was a Filipina military leader best known for her role as the female leader of the Ilocano independence movement from Spain. Gabriela Silang is remembered as the Juan of Arc of Ilocandia. The Order of Gabriela Silang is the sole third-class national decoration awarded by the Philippines, whose membership is restricted to women. She rose to become the very first female leader of the Philippine Revolution. Over 300 armed revolts led by Filipinos rose against the Spanish regime, and the Gabriela Silang led one of those armies after her husband, resistance leader Diego Silang, was assassinated. The people began to call her Generala, which meant woman general, and gratified that Diego's fighting spirit was continued with Gabriela. She is one of the most prominent figures of the revolution and one of the most distinguished women in the Philippine history. Then let's proceed to Juan Luna. His full name, Juan Luna de San Pedro y Novicio Ancheta, born on October 23, 1857 at Badoc, and died on December 7, 1899 at Hong Kong. He was one of the first internationally recognized Filipino painters. Aside from being an artist, Juan Luna was also an influential activist who actively participated in the Philippine Revolution during the late 19th century. Juan Luna is one of the prominent Filipino artists in the Philippines. His works is remembered as one of the principal examples of Romanticism and Realism schools of art. And lastly, Sultan Dipatuan Kudarat. His full name, Muhammad Dipatuan Kudarat, born on 1581 at Maguindanao and died on 1671 at Maguindanao. He was the seventh Sultan of Maguindanao from 1619 to 1671. Dipatuan means master in Malay and Kodara Arabic for power. He was an Iranon nobleman. He was a fearless fighter and Filipino hero in defense of Islamic faith and Philippine liberty. Brave, wise, and benevolent, he was the greatest and strongest Mindanao Sultan that ever lived. During his reign, he successfully fought off Spanish invasions and halted the spread of Catholicism on the island of Mindanao, much like the other Muslim rulers in the southern Philippines.